Back at it again, and I came across this video clip that, you know, at least the first minute and a half I found extremely interesting. It's almost 11 minutes long, but I wanted to share it with you guys because some interesting things were said, at least in the very beginning, that I really want to touch on. This is a clip from Victor Hansen. Like, share, comment, and hit that subscribe button if you are new. And happy holidays, too. Now let's dive in.
They look at Trump as a vampire and they put a stake in his heart, but they're afraid that that stake could come out any time, that he's undying, and they're afraid of him. They are terrified of him.
Yep. Yep. That's one of the parts that I was like, wow, yeah, that is a great comparison. You know, a vampire that they put a stake in the heart and they thought it was over. And And did any of you used to watch wrestling? I used to watch wrestling when I was a kid, and I remember there was a scene where The Undertaker, right? The Undertaker, they had put under, and I know wrestling is fake now, but when I was a kid, I believed it, okay? I was a kid, all right? Forgive me. At least back in the day, excuse me, I had a hiccup. And especially back in the day, wrestling looked extremely real. Extremely real. Slamming on thumbtacks. You had the blood gushing, the chairs. Oh, man, it was crazy. It was crazy. So, of course, as a kid, I used to love it. But, excuse me. But when I was a kid, there was a match where The Undertaker was in a casket. And he was allegedly dead. And then he rose up. Like, literally was just laying there. And then he sat straight up. That's what I envision, like Trump. Like they thought Trump was gone. He was dead. He was cooked in a casket. Close it up, and Trump sat up and opened his eyes. And then they said, "Oh, shnikes," you know. All of a sudden, that's word. We've got a problem, right? And that's kind of what I envisioned when he said, you know, they put the stake in the heart. They thought it was over. And it wasn't, right? But let's continue.
Why they're terrified of him? Because they think he's smarter this time and he has just cause to really get angry because of what they did to him. They can write all of the Atlantic Monthly and they can write all the New Yorker clever, glib little essays about Donald Trump was a threat to democracy, or they can write all their little Molly Ball Time essays, how clever and brilliant they were with their cabals and their conspiracies to get rid of them. But deep down inside, they know.
The secret history of the shadow campaign that saved the 2020 election. That's why the participants want the secret history of the 2020 election told, even though it sounds like a paranoid fever dream, a well-funded cabal of powerful people ranging across industries and ideologies working together behind the scenes to influence perceptions, change rules and laws, and steer media coverage and control the flow of information. They were not rigging the election, they were fortifying it, and they believe the public needs to understand the system's fragility in order to ensure that democracy in America endures. Interesting. I might try to look up this article right here and read it in full.
That if the right ever did that to Barack Obama or Joe Biden, they could have really made something out of the fact that Barack Obama had a hot mic expose where he told the president of Russia, you tell Vladimir that I will be flexible on missile defense. That's the security of the United States of America if he gives me space in my last election. And Putin did do that. That's an impeachable offense if a phone call to Ukraine is. So they understand.
Is that true? Because when I first heard it, like I said, I listened to about a minute and a half, 2 minutes. It was a little less than 2 minutes of this clip already. So all of this I've already seen. But I did just a quick search right before I started the video to see if I could find the clip of Obama saying this, and I couldn't find it. I saw some people talking about it, but I couldn't find the actual clip. Is there a clip? Where'd this information come from? Let me know in the comment section if you know. Like I said, I could do some more digging after the video, but I just did like a quick search, you know, literally search for like 30 seconds and, you know, started the video. But yeah, let me know in the comment section. Is that true? Talk to me.
And that. that the right could have done that to them. And they understand now the right probably will do that to them for their own survival. And they are scared. They're saying that if a MAGA candidate wins and they win the House and the Senate, we're cooked, because they're going to get special prosecutors and they're going to go after the Biden family like they've never gone after anybody. And they're going to find stuff because we know Joe is crooked. And then they're going to go after Merrick Garland, and they're going to go after Mayorkas, and they're not going to stop. And that's why they're scared. And they're going to do everybody thinks that the danger passed, they got what they wanted. No. You're never going to see anything like what they're going to do in 2024.
I agree with that 100%. And I've said that in several videos now. You guys have heard me say that. And I'm new to politics, but I think it's obvious. It's extremely obvious. Anybody with half of a brain cell, I feel like, can see, if you thought what's been going on is bad, oh, that's nothing. Like they didn't even try with that. That was just coincidences, right? In comparison to what is going to happen in 2024. I don't know what it is. I really don't. I have no clue. But it will be something big. It'll be something massive. I don't know if that's the form of a pandemic or plandemic, right? Or, WW3. I don't know. But something's going to happen. I will be shocked, extremely shocked, if nothing happened before next election. I would be extremely shocked if absolutely nothing happened. We just regular, kind of every year kind of circumstances and things happening, right? There's tragedies and different things of that nature, riots from time to time. I expect that kind of stuff to happen, but if nothing beyond that does, I would be extremely shocked. What do you guys think will happen? Let me know in the comment section.
Well, this could have been reconciled. All they had to do was say Donald Trump should not be president, if that's what they believe. And we're not going to do any lawfare. We're not going to try to change the voting laws. We're not going to pack the court. We're not going to let in 2 states. We're not going to try to abolish the Senate filibuster. We're not going to try to change the voting ID laws. We're just going to play under the rules that we have. We don't need $419 million by Mark Zuckerberg infused. We don't need Sam Bankman-Fried, the crook, giving us $100 million. We're not going to go under the radar with George. So we're just going to show you, the American people, how we think Donald Trump should not be president, and we'll have a fair, and they can't do that. They don't trust themselves. They think, you know what? Anybody in his right mind would close that border right now. Close the border. Anybody in his right mind would recall all of those DAs that have destroyed these major cities. Anybody in his right mind would not beg the Saudis or the Venezuelans or the Russians or the Iranians to pump oil on the eve of a midterm or drain their strategic petroleum when you have so much natural gas and oil. Nobody in their right mind would do that. And nobody in their right mind would ever just pull out of Afghanistan without warning, just so Joe Biden can say that on the 20th anniversary of 9/11 or the original October invasion of Afghanistan, I'm the president that got us out. Nobody would do that. And nobody would print $6 trillion when there's a pent-up demand post-COVID lockdown and there's a supply chain disruption, and throw that money without any audit or examination of who got it and why and how it was spent, but to inflate the economy and ruin it. Nobody would do that. And so they know that. And they know that they can't take that record to the American people. They have a deductive mind because they're ideologue. So they start with a premise that we're for social justice and for equity of result. And so we're morally superior and smarter than anybody else. And therefore we are entitled to do things that other people don't do. And so if under the cover of COVID and frightening people about COVID, we can change all the voting laws so that 30% instead of voting absentee and early voting shall become 70% in most states with very little audit of the level necessary to authenticate most ballots. They just do all this stuff because they start with the deductive principle. We are better. This is the vision, and therefore the following must happen. And if things don't fit the narrative, then they go after the person, they censor it. That's how they work. And if you keep that in mind, then everybody makes sense. And what I'm saying is they go on from one lie to the next. So everybody now knows that Donald Trump, we just discussed it, was impeached for things that Joe Biden got away with. Okay, everybody knows.
The documents. That's one thing that, I haven't completely grasped yet. So Joe Biden, Hillary, Bill, and Mike Pence all had documents. All had them. When they weren't allowed to have them. None of them were presidents. But Trump is all of a sudden the horrible, terrible, no good, very bad guy because he allegedly said, no, I can have these documents. I was president. I'm keeping them. That one don't make sense to me. It really doesn't. It really doesn't make sense. Because, the argument always is, well, they all gave them back. And my, answer to that is none of them were allowed to have them in the first place. So if you robbed a bank, but then a day later you brought the money back, do you think they're not going to arrest you? You already robbed the bank. Like, what's it? But I brought the money back, but you already robbed them. You already committed the crime. Like, just because you try to correct it afterwards, that doesn't mean that what happened before didn't happen. Now, kudos to you for trying to do the right thing. Now, I feel like you should have some type of leniency levied against you because of what you did. You did bring it back. Yeah, let's clap for that. But that still doesn't negate what you did before. That's just my opinion on it. But what's y'all opinion? Let me know.
The laptop was authentic. Everybody knows that now. Everybody knows that it would have made a big difference on that debate when Donald Trump said it was, and Joe Biden said, no, 51 authorities. Everybody knew that Danchenko and Charles, or whatever his name, Dolan, and Christopher Steele were frauds, and especially Glenn Simpson, and that Hillary Clinton took over an old Never Trumper file, inflated it with $1 million, got the FBI on it to hire Christopher Steele as a consultant informant, hid her so-called legal expenses, and she was fined and cited for that violation through Perkins Coie, Fusion GPS, DNC, and that file was fraudulent. It was made up. I said that from the first time I saw it. Everything in it was false, and yet we wasted 22 months and $40 million to know it was obvious. No apology. In fact, not only no apologies, they got Pulitzer Prize winners, some of the reporters. Every time they give these monstrous lies, there's no apologies. And why should they? Because in their way, they're just narratives. They're postmodern Foucauldian, Lacan, Derrida narratives. They were useful. So that's what they look back. Well, they were useful at the time because when we went through the Mueller investigation, when we went through the laptop, we crippled Donald Trump, and therefore we were able to stop him. We had Anonymous. He was burrowed deep into the Homeland Security. He was a minor official, but we said he was one of the major operatives in the Trump administration. We lied. And then we printed his op-ed because it did what it was supposed to do. It weakened this right-wing agenda, so they think. And we got Admiral McRaven, and he came in and wrote an op-ed and said Trump should leave, the sooner the better. And then we got all of the 4 stars, McCaffrey, McChrystal, all of them, to say that Trump was Hitler, that he was Mussolini, that he was a liar, that he was danger. We got Mark Milley to call the Chinese. We did all of this. And yes, we do not want this to be done to us. If right now a retired 4-star general says that Joe Biden is senile, or he's dangerous, or the Afghanistan is a disaster, and he should be removed sooner or later, or his weaponization of the DOJ or the FBI is Mussolini-like, or his hounding of individual people at school boards, or the way he conducted the Mar-a-Lago raid is remnant of, it's Nazi-like. And I'm just quoting from what they've said. You know what's going to happen to those people? You're going to get Merrick Garland to call up the Pentagon, and they're all going to be slapped with a Code 88 Uniform Code of Military Justice, and they're going to be court-martialed for disparaging the commander-in-chief. Trust me, they would in 2 seconds, and that's not going to happen. First, they're not going to say anything because they're not equally going to apply their standards of correct behavior on the part of the, and second all, they're going to say something with Donald Trump because they know that the media and the Pentagon are not going to do anything to them. Now, oh man.
You know, one thing that I've come to discover along this journey is this: when you have everyone agreeing and nobody saying the opposite thing, that's alarming to me. That's alarming. Like, so you mean to tell me they all have the same thoughts and ideas when it comes to this entire situation with Trump and Biden? They all agree. Nobody amongst them says, no, I actually like this guy over here. I think you guys are full of it. Nobody. You know, it's like obvious to me, in my opinion, right? In my personal opinion, it's obvious what is happening. It is obvious that either they're being paid or they're being told, hey, this is what you need to say. If you say the other thing, then what he said there would happen, right? It's obvious because I go back to this quote. I don't remember where it came from or even where I saw it, but it said that if everyone in a room agrees, then someone is lying, right? And that always resonates. Well, that resonates now because, we're all individuals. We all have our own thoughts and ideas. And yeah, sometimes we may agree. Hell, I've disagreed with you guys from time to time, right? And you guys have disagreed with me. And that's fine. It's not the end of the world. Like, we should be disagreeing on certain things and agreeing on, I feel like we agree on most things, 95, 98% of things, right? But from time to time, we are going to disagree because we are individuals. So when you have an entire group of individuals who are all, in the same room or in the same circle of each other and they're all agreeing, that's a head scratcher to me. Like that lets me know something is happening behind the scenes that we aren't aware of. It's obvious to me. It's obvious. Unfortunately, there's a lot of Americans who that isn't obvious to, and they say, oh, well, look, see, they all agreed. They all said, hey, Trump's a bad guy. See, they all said it. And I'm like, isn't that alarming to you? Like, they all said the same thing? The same exact thing. I don't know, man. What do y'all think? What do y'all think? But we'll end that there. Y'all let me know what you thought about this one in the comment section below. Definitely some interesting stuff there. I mean, from top to bottom, really. I tried to sit back and not pause it too much, right? Because there's like a million things that I could have paused it on and talked about and discussed with you guys, about each and every little tidbit there. But, I do agree with the beginning there where he was talking about how they see Trump as a vampire and they thought they put the stake in him. They thought that it was over once they, threw all the indictments at him. First, they tried to smear him in the public, with everything that we've seen, through the media. That didn't work. Then they hit him with indictment after indictment after indictment, just hoping, in my opinion, that eventually, okay, this guy's got to be cooked now. And no. He only continued to get stronger, which is why I say something big is going to happen. Because that's not what they expected. That's not what we've ever even seen. I don't think anyone could have predicted what has happened with Trump happening. I don't think anyone could have predicted that. No one. Typically, and Trump said it himself, typically when people get indicted, oh yeah, I'm going to go home with my family and I'm going to think about things, sorry, blah, blah, blah. And then they disappear from the public eye. Not Trump. His poll numbers, just, every single indictment, they've only gone higher. And so, what do? And like I said, I always try to put myself in their shoes and try to see it from their perspective. Oh, and best believe me, if I'm them, I'm stopping at nothing. Because I know what I've done, right? If I'm them, I know what I've done. And if Trump were to get in office and do what we have done to him, to us, oh, it's over for us because they going to find everything. They going to find everything. We going to get thrown underneath the jail, if not put in there for the rest of our lives or given the death penalty because of what we've done. You know, so I'm pulling out all the stops. So for me, I'm expecting the worst. I don't know what that is, but y'all let me know what you think it is. Peace and love. I'm out.